Hi, alright, this question is about a continuous random variable that has a probability density, right, having the probability density of ft equals to 2ct minus 1, t between 1 and 2, and c 4 minus t, 2t less than 4, and 0 otherwise, right, otherwise. So now the first question, A number 1, will be they're asking you to find the value of C, right? As you know that this is a continuous random variable, right? It's a continuous random variable. So then at the same time, this is a probability density function, right? Probability density function. This is not the cumulative, this is probability density function. So as you know that you integrate from negative infinity to infinity for this is a property of continuous random variable. Alright, as you integrate everything, remember this is very important, must be equals to 1, right? Must be equals to 1 for continuous random variable. Hanya kepada continuous random variable. If you integrate the interval for all the belong to the probability density function, you will equals to 1. So what is the meaning of this actually? It means that this interval, alright, this interval. So means when you integrate from 1 to 2 for 2c t minus 1 dt plus with from 2 to 4 c 4 minus t dt must be the same as 0 is otherwise, doesn't matter, so everything must equal to 1. Means all the interval, the negative infinity means all the interval belong to ft, which already in this case will be 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. So for 1 to 2, 2c t minus 1, and for 2 to 4 will be c 4 minus t. So you just integrate everything here equals to 1. Alright, so now I take out the 2c, so 1 to 2 t minus 1 dt plus with the c, take out the c, 2 to 4, then integrate 4 minus t dt equals to 1. So integrate the inside one, so become t power of 2 divided by 2 minus with t. So from 1 to 2 plus with c, integrate 4 become 4t, integrate t become t to the power of 2 divided by 2 from 2 to 4, all equals to 1, right? So the 2c is still there, substitute 2 square over 2 minus with 2 for the first bracket minus the next one, 1 over 2 minus 1, everything. So plus c, substitute 2, 4 times 2 minus with 2 to the power of 2 divided by 2. Right, small bracket here, the big brackets, minus away 4, oops, sorry, it's actually 4 times 4, right? So you substitute the 4 inside first, so it will be 4 times 4 multiply with 4 square divided by 2 minus with 4 times 2 minus with 2 square divided by 2. Alright, so all this equals to 1. So let's evaluate what's this. Right, this will become 2, right? 2 minus 2 will become 0. So negative 1 over 2 plus 1, right? Negative 1 over 2 plus 1, which give you 1 over 2, 1 over 2 here, right? 1 over 2 times with 2c plus with, alright? How about this? So 4, 4, 16, 16 minus 8, alright? 16 minus 8, 4, 4, 16, 16 minus 8, minus 8 again, plus with 2, alright? Plus with 2, which will give you 2c equals to 1. So this and this one cancel off, already become c plus 2c equals to 1, which give you 3c equals to 1, right? So therefore c will be equals to 1 over 3, alright? And now you know that your c will be equals to 1 over 3, alright? So I'm going to rub all this now. Alright, so you know that c is 103, right? Then you replace the 2c here with 2 over 3, right? 2 times 1 over 3. So this one will become 1 over 3, right? 1 over 3. So now the property density, now you already know the C is be a complete one, alright? So later they're asking you to find the probability of T less or equal 3 over 2, right? Less or equal 3 over 2, which is actually the same as P, is less than, right? 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is inside here. 3 over 2 is that, because 3 over 2 is actually 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, right? 1.5. Between 1 and 2, the 3 over 2 is inside here. So you integrate from starting from 1 up to 3 over 2, right? Less than 3 over 2, right? Less than 3 over 2 means that from 1 up to 3 over 2. So 3 over 2 for 2 over 3 t minus 1 dt, the probability, right? To find probability, you can also use probability density function. So now integrate, this will become 2 over 3 t square minus with 1, which will be t, minus with t square over 2, minus with t, everything from 1 to 3 over 2, right? So become 2 over 3 over 2 square divided by 2 minus with 3 over 2 minus away 1 square over 2, 1 over 2 minus 1, everything. Alright, so you get the probability. So now for this case you will get 9 over 4 over 2 again, so will be 9 over 8, right? 9 over 8 minus with 3 over 2, 9 over 8 minus with 3 over 2, alright, plus this one will be negative half, negative become positive half, right? Positive half, which will give you 1 over 8, 2 over 3 times with 1 over 8, so 248, which will give you 1 over 12, right? Probability will be 1 over 12. Alright, now you know that it will be 1 over 12, so let's do for part 3. Right, part 3. You only use integration when this one is a small letter, right? The probability density function. So now they require to find the probability of t between 1 and 3, right? 1 and 3. So between 1 and 3, so start from 1, right? So you integrate, start from 1 up to 3. But if you look at this interval, there is only from 1 up to 2, right? 1 up to 2, even though it's 1 up to 3, so you just stop at 2 first, correct? Stop at 2 first, because 2 is inside here. It's not beyond 3, right? 1 to 2, so for 2 over 3 t minus 1 dt, right? Later you plus again, because it's still from 2 up to it's still up to 3, right? First you break it, become 1 to 2, because different function, right? So 1 to 2 is belong to this one. Then you start from 2 again, then up to 3, right? 2 again up to 3. So 2 to 3 is inside this interval, which will be 1 over 3 4 minus t dt. Alright, so now integrate, this one will be 2 over 3 t to the power of 2 divided by 2 minus with t from 1 to 2, whereas this one will be 1 over 3 4t minus t square over 2 from 2 to 3. Alright, so now this is the time for you to evaluate. Alright, 2 square over 2, just show them, you substitute inside there, minus with 1 square over 2 minus with 1 for the first, and for the next one will be 1 over 3, substitute the 3 square, so become 4 times 3 square minus with 3 square over 2, substitute with 2, 4 times 2 minus with 2 power 2 this way, right? So now you just evaluate all this. So 2 square, so this will be 4 2 minus 2 0, so 1 square is still 1, right? So negative 1 over 2, so it will become 2 over 3 multiply with negative 1 over 2, negative become positive 1 over 2 plus with for this side. Alright, let's calculate. It's quite complicated a bit. So which will be 4 times 9 minus with 9 over 2 minus with 8 plus with 2, right? 2 squared divided by 2 is 2 plus with 2, so plus with 2, right? So it will become 1 over 3 times with 51 over 2, right? So now 51 divided by 3 will be 17, 2 over 6 plus with. Alright, I think somewhere wrong here. So for, oh sorry, there are no square here, right? There are no square here. Sorry, everything wrong here. So now it should be right, just put a 103 back. So there are no square here, it's just substitute 3 only, right? So 3, 4, 3, 12, sorry, it's actually 12, right? 12 minus 9 over 2 minus with 8 plus with 2, so which will be 3 over 2 here. So cancel, this will be 1 over 3 plus with 1 over 2, which give you 1 over 3 plus with 1 over 2, which give you 5 over 6, right? This is the answer for part 3. So now then later the question asking you to sketch the graph, right? Sketch the graph. So can I rub all this thing here. So now the question requires you to sketch the graph, right? So then you just sketch the graph for them. Alright, this graph is a linear graph, right? T path 1 is a linear straight line. So you just use the 2 boundary value, it's good enough. So now what you do is you sketch the axis. Okay, you sketch the axis. So just randomly sketch then the y and the x here. You just put here to be ft, like doesn't matter, it's a probability density function, start from 0. So in this case it will be t, not x, right? Yeah, not x. So now we look at from 1 to 2, right? So means they start from 1, then from 2, 3 and 4. So start from 1. Before 1 they are 0, otherwise, right? So 1 to 2. During 1, substitute 1 inside here. 1 minus 1. Substitute 1 inside here. 1 minus 1, you will get 0. So means that during 1 it will be at 0. After that, substitute 2 inside there. 2, substitute 2 inside here. 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is actually 1. 1 times 2 over 3, you will get 1 over 3, 2 over 3. So here will be 2 over 3. During 2 will be 2 over 3. So you just draw a straight line. It will be a straight line, right? So you just need these 2 points to sketch the graph. Okay, later, this is another straight line. So you put 2 inside here. You try to put the 2, substitute the 2 inside here. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 times 103, it is still in 203, right? It will be still in 203, so which will be dense already because got equal here. So now at last you put 4 inside here, right? You put 4. So you put 4, 4 minus 4, 4 minus 4, you will get 0. So eventually you will come back to 0. So this will be the graph, right? So now, in case if this question, okay, now it's extra knowledge for you, extra knowledge for you, I think you should revise this thing as well. Alright, please continue to look at this video. This is very important. They are going to summarize everything here. So let's say in case the question asks you to find the mode, right? Find the mode. So mode you were using, alright, you must remember you will use the PDF. You will use the small ft, right? You will use this one. At first you must sketch the graph, right? You must sketch the graph. You look for the highest point here, right? Which one is the highest one? So this will be the highest, right? Will be the highest. So 2 over 3. So the mode here will be t equals to t. This case is t, right? The random variable t is a random variable which is equals to 2, right? Because when t equals to 2, the graph has the highest probability density. Highest probability density. So the mode will be t equals to 2. Alright, this is the way you finding modes. Alright, find a mode for this question. Alright. So in case, right, okay, now I still want to discuss something. Let's say in case that the question require you to find the cumulative distribution. Alright, Contohnya soalan suruh anda cari cumulative, alright? Find the cumulative distribution function, alright? So this will be probability density function. Cumulative will refer to the capital letter FT here, alright? Capital letter F. So now, how to find this is very simple. So I divide the interval to 1 and 2 and 4, right? 1, 2 and 4. So 1, 2 and 4. So you know that for this interval your FT will be 0, right? For this, the first one and the n1 will be FT will be equals to 0, because there are no function here, right? Only between 1 to 2 there is between 1 to 2 your FT will be actually 2 over 3 t minus 1, right? And for 2 to 4 your FT is actually 1 over 3 4 minus t, right? There are 4 sub-intervals that you're going to accumulate. So the first one will be t less than 1, right? Before that, before t less than 1. So now for 1 to 2 you follow this one, you are between t and 2, whereas for this one will be 2 before 4, and this one will be after 4, right? Selepas 4, sebelum 1, right? So you got 4 interval. So to find cumulative, the formula, right? The formula for cumulative. Alright, going to highlight the formula to find the cumulative frequency. So it will be Ft equals to negative infinity up to x, alright, up to x for 0. For Ft dx dt, right? Ft dt. This will be the formula. So for this question. So now I'm going to look for the first interval. To find cumulative is not easy to understand, so I do the first one, right? Start with the first one. So when t less than 1, right? When t is less than 1, your Ft will be integrate from negative infinity up to x, right? Negative infinity. Follow this formula. Ikut formula ini. So the Ft will be negative infinity up to x. Negative infinity up to x. So now in this case, Ft, when t is less than 1 or less than 1, the Ft in this case is actually 0 d, is negative infinity up to t. If the symbol here is x, let's say the alphabet here is x, then here you are using x, right? Since it's t, I use t. So 0 dt, right? So now integrate 0, you will still get 0. Means that the first one, when t less than 1, you integrate 0, you will still get 0. So now go to the second interval. Now we're going for the second interval here, right? The second interval, which when t is less or equal 1, less than 2, right? So t more or equal 1 and less than 2. So in this case your Ft is still the same. You integrate from negative infinity up to t. Sorry, this one will be t as well. So t for Ft, right? For Ft dt. So in this case, this formula is according to this formula. But since this is a cumulative, so you already accumulate up to the 2 interval, right? The first interval and the next interval. So very simple, you must write this way. F1, right? Look at the low boundary. For the second one, you look at the low boundary, 1, right? So if here is 1, you just write F1, right? F1 plus with starting from 1, right? It's not starting from negative infinity, it's negative infinity up to t. So I write F1, the low boundary here, F1, right? Look at here, F1. If here is 2, here will be 2, right? F1, always the lowest boundary, alright? The lowest boundary. So later, then you continue from 1. Continue from 1 again up to t. Always end with t. So now in this case, 1 to t means that between the second interval, the first interval, the second interval, so between 1 and 2, the function will be 2 over 3 t minus 1 dt, right? 2 minus 3 t minus 1 dt. F1, you take the before, right? Before, you take the value before. So it's 0, right? You just take 0, put here, right? 0. Okay, then you integrate this whole thing. 2 over 3 this will become t to the power of 2 divided by 2 minus with t, from 1 to t. So it will be 2 over 3, substitute the t square inside here, substitute the t, become t square over 2, substitute the t, become minus t. So minus against the 1, right? 1 square over 2, so it'll be 1 over 2 minus 1. At last you will get 2 over 3 t to the power of 2 over 2 minus with t, negative half, right? This will be negative half, negative half, negative become positive half, right? It become positive half. So this will be the ft for the second interval, right? The first interval is 0, the second one, alright, it's not so easy because we are going for the third interval, right? The third interval, which the third one will be when t less than 4, t less than 4 and 2, right? So this time it's still the same, the ft here, alright, very simple. I'm not going to write this formula again, so I teach you the pattern, right? f1, I write 1 here at the low boundary, right? The big f1, I write the low boundary. So now the big f here, what should it be, right? Just now I said I take the low boundary 1, right? So in this case, what is the low boundary? 2, right? So 2, I'm supposed to take the 2, put inside here, alright? I put the 2 here, then I start from this 2 again up to t, right? Up to t. Always the next one will be up to t, alright now? T. So during this time, 2 to 4, what is the interval? Which will be 1 over 3, 4 minus t dt, alright? 4 minus t dt. So what is actually f2, right? What is actually f2? So f2 you can substitute into the previous one. Just now this f1 you take 0, right? Alright, you take 0. f1 you take 0, that's why you get a 0 here. But this f2 you substitute into this one, you take the previous one, and this one you take the previous one. Substitute the 2 here, the t2 here inside here, right? Inside here, which will give you alright, so 2 over 3 2 square divided by 2 minus 2 plus with 1 over 2, right? Or 2. Then for this part you integrate, which will become 1 over 3, integrate 4 will become 4t, integrate t will become t to the power of 2 divided by 2, from 2 up to t, alright? It's quite a long way to go. So 2 over 3, so this will become 2, right? 2 minus 2 will become 0, it will become 1 over 2, right? 1 over 2 plus with 1 over 3, substitute t is still 4t, put inside the t, it will be still 4t, everything minus with 4 times 2, 8, minus with 2 squared divided by 2, which will be 2, alright? Okay, slowly you develop, become 1 over 3 plus with 1 over 3 4t minus t squared over 2 minus 8 minus 2, 6, so it will be negative 6 inside here, right? Negative 6 inside here. So I try to combine everything here, become right, I expand this whole thing first, which will be 1 over 3 plus with 4 over 3t, 4 over 3t minus with t square over 1 over 3 times 1 over 2. 1 over 3 times 1 over 2 will give you t over 6, right? T over 6, t square over 6. Positive 1 over 3, negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 3, which will be negative 2, right? So at last, you just bring the square in front, become negative t square over 6 plus with 4 over 3t, t square over 6, 4 over 3t, 1 over 3 minus 2, right? 1 over 3 minus 2, which will give you negative 5 over 3. So this will be the ft for the third interval, right? Haven't finished yet, my student, dear student, haven't finished yet. So because you still got the fourth interval, right? You still got the fourth interval. Please copy down all this first. Then now I'm going to solve for the fourth interval. Alright, so let me record first what is your ft. Your t less than 1 will be ft equals to 0, and when t is equal to 2, ft will be 2 over 3 t squared over 2 minus t plus 1 over 2, and when t less than 4, your ft will be negative t squared over 6 plus with 4t over 3 minus 5 over 3. Alright, so I'm going to rub everything. I'm going to rub these two first, because I'm going to do the last step. Alright, the last one, the last interval, which will be the fourth one. So the number 4, they're asking when t, alright, when the t already greater or equal 4, t greater or equal 4, so your ft now will be always f4, right? F4 means, you see this is a low boundary, right? If you rewrite this thing, it's actually t greater or equal 4, right? It will be a low boundary, right? Low boundary where you just put the 4 inside there. This 4 you substitute to the previous one, right? The previous one here, right? You substitute the answer for the previous one, the previous function. Okay, now you substitute, you will get a negative 4 squared divided by 6 plus with 4 over 3 times 4 minus with 5 over 3. Alright, you calculate this value. Negative 16 over 6, right? Negative 16 over 6 plus with 6, negative 16 over 6 plus with 16 over 3 minus with 5 over 3, which give you 1. This will be the result. Finally will be 1, right? Finally will be 1. So now I'm going to rub all these things up. Rub all these things. Cumulative is not that easy. It's not that easy. Alright. So now this is your small ft, right? This is your probability density function. Probability density function, right? Density function. And the other one will be just now your cumulative, right? Your cumulative distribution function, right? Cumulative distribution function, which will be your big ft, right? Big ft. So you have know that the big ft, you got 4 interval, right? 4 interval, which they start from t less than 1, and just now, right, I already rubbed everything here, right? You refer to the one that I do just now. It's between 1 less than 2 and t is 2 less than 4, and this will be after 4, right? Just put a comma here, right? Comma here. So the first one must be 0, right? The first one. Alright, just now I have already write that the first one, when t less than 1, just now what you calculate, the ft will be 0. So, and the last one must be 1, the condition 0, and the last one is 1. And the in between one, between 1 and 2, just now between 1 and 2, it will be 2 over 3 t squared over 2 minus with t plus with 1 over 2. Alright, plus with 1 over 2. So the next will be negative t squared over 6 plus with 4t divided by 3 minus 5 over 3. Alright, this will be the cumulative distribution function. There is difference between these two. Alright, this is the difference between the small f and the big F, right? The small f and the big F. So just now this question asking you to find the probability of t less or equal 3 over 2, right? Less or 3 over 2. So just now you're doing what? You're doing from 1 up to 3 over 2, right? You integrate from 1 up to 3 over 2 for the 2 over 3 t minus 1 dt, and then you blah blah blah, then you get the answer, right? So This is for the case you're using small t, right? You're using probability density function, alright? If you're using the big ft, alright, the cumulative distribution function, the pt less or equal 3/2 is actually the meaning of ft. Alright, the meaning of cumulative ft is probability of t less or equal t. This will be the important formula. P t less or equal t. So now, since you're using big ft, the t less or equal t, the k will be f3/2, right? f3/2, which is actually probability of 1.5, right? 1.5. 1.5 is in between 1 and 2. Alright, it's between 1 and 2. So you just substitute the 1.5 inside here without doing any integration, right? Without doing integration. So then you will get the answer also, right? You will still getting the same answer, right? You will still getting the same answer, alright? So now, then just now another question they're asking you to, right? The question asking you to find for the p t3, right? T is between 1 and 3, and whereas for this case they are, okay, this one very easy. You integrate from 1 to 2 just now, 1 to 2 for 2/3 t minus 1 dt, and from 2 to 3, because it's 1 to 3, right? 1 to 2, then 2 to 3. So for 1/3 4 minus t dt, right? Then you blah blah blah, you get the answer, right? So if you use cumulative distribution function, it will be different, right? It will be different. It's slightly easier, which you take the top one, f3, minus the bottom one, the big F1, alright? Big F1. So your F3, then you search for which interval 3 belong to. 3 is not inside here. 3 tidak di dalam sini, but 3 is inside here, right? Between 2 and 4. So you substitute the 3 inside here. So become negative 3 square over 6 plus with 4 times 3 divided by 3 minus with 5 over 3, alright? Then you minus with 1. Oh, then you look for 1, right? 1. Where is 1? 1 is here. Equals to 1, right? So the 1 is inside here. So you substitute 1 inside there. 2/3 1 square over 2 minus with 1 plus with 1 over 2. Right? You just substitute the 1 inside this and the 3 inside here. This one you need to do integration. So at last you will still get the same answer. Right? You will still get the same answer. Alright? I hope you understand. So, but let's say the question asking you to find median, alright, extra. Let's say the question asking you to find for median, right? The question asking to find for median. I will use big FT, right? In this case, I will use big FT. To find mode, to find the mode, I will use the graph of FT, alright? Graph of FT, alright? The graph for this one, the graph for the probability density function. Just now I'm drawing then the highest one, right? So it's referred to for the graph. So median, very easy. For median, you substitute 2 inside here, right? You substitute 1, you will give 0, right? We look for the upper one. We look at the technique here, alright? I summarize everything for you, so you please remember it. 1, 0, so you 2. So you substitute 2. So you try to look for F2, you substitute 2 inside here. 2/3 2 to the power of 2 divided by 2 minus 2 plus with 1/2, right? So now, alright, so you substitute 2/3, this one will become 2 minus 2 plus with 1/2, right, which will give you 1/3, alright? So means your F2 you get, alright, you get 1/3. But for median, the formula for median will be big Fn